Welcome to Smallest Big Dreams, episode 8. Episode 10.
Okay, episode 10, right?
Episode
Right.
10.
Like the introduction.
Yes. Is there any question of the day before we start?
I think Dane has one.
I thought you were gonna ask.
Okay.
Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
If you could be good at one thing,
Yeah.
what would it be? That's the question of the day.
You could be good at one thing. What would
If
it?
you could be, yeah.
Hmm. Steve, you want to go first since you asked?
Well, okay. So
Yeah,
I
but-
asked, okay.
Yeah.
For me, it would be dealing with emotions. I think
I
that's
see.
good.
Like
'Cause it's really
controlling.
hard. You never master dealing with emotions, right? Like, but if you could, that could be a
Well,
very
why so?
dealing with emotions because they're emotions. Like, let's say you're mad, okay? You're
Yeah. And
really mad. Then it's really hard for you to calm down if you go nuts.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah, and like if you're really sad, like really sad, it's just hard from getting out of that situation and then saying, yeah, we're fine, we're good, Once you start getting pessimistic, really pessimistic, everything seems very negative.
Yeah.
So-
yeah.
So it's really hard to deal with emotions. Like even there are people who say like I'm really good with emotions. Even they are bad with dealing
Yeah.
with emotions.
I don't think
So-
yeah.
Have you ever dealt with a mental breakdown? I just have that question for you.
Mental
Ever dealt
breakdown?
with a mental breakdown, like
No, but I think I've been like,
questions in your head, and then you just couldn't handle it?
I mean, I don't think so, but I think I've been depressed for some time, So I know how you feel like if you're depressed, and
I see.
you really can't get out of that situation for so long, and you waste time, and you're not even doing something fun, right? So what a waste of time. So don't really want to confront any of those situations again. So I know emotions are precious, but I would really want to deal with emotions better than now.
Be able to like control them. And,
Yeah.
Have it under control.
Yeah. I mean, it's really hard to control, but it's more of like
Dealing.
acting after the emotion.
Yeah, how you
appears.
react to it.
Yeah, how I react to it.
Okay. Not bad.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you, Johnny?
For me, before I said creativity, I wanted to be more creative. But for now, I would say by the way, this is like 2 years ago, like 1 year ago. That was my answer. But today, I would say communication. I would want to be good at communicating with anyone.
Yep.
I feel like that's a big part in my opinion.
So like no language barrier too. Like so if you talk with French guy, then like you could speak France.
No. It's like
Like this.
you're just really witty, You have like
Oh.
wit in your your talks.
I mean, for
So
me,
you're
that's
so
like
interesting.
that's the one characteristic that could guide you to success no matter what. Like no matter what you
Being
do.
witty.
No, like being well with communicating with others.
Yeah, sure.
Like-
That's like
Like
Key
there's humor.
everything.
Yeah.
yeah.
But I feel like that requires I think that requires more practice than anything, man. Because
Mhm.
if you
It's so
haven't
hard.
been coaching most of your life,
It really is.
Yeah.
you're unconfident, man.
Especially like the humor part, like, because humor is way more funnier when you are just innately, funny rather than you practice your jokes and stuff. Because it's just gotta come out from your head,
Mhm.
You want to be funny though? Like, is that what you're looking for in social?
Because I believe a good communicator is somewhat funny in a way. It's more of witty, rather than like
Yeah, witty than funny. It's
you're
like
so funny.
when Steve Jobs made his iPhone presentation, he made a reference with iPod, right? Like the old iPod, and said it was new one, and everybody laughed. It's not funny, but it's witty.
Yeah, it's those type of things.
Sure.
You
Yeah,
gotta
it's not
have like a, how would you say it? Never mind. I forgot the word.
Well, it's like
Yeah,
he's
Like,
that.
you don't feel like there's a language barrier that causes this? You don't feel like it's the language
Well, I
barrier?
think language barrier is really getting destructed. No,
Uh,
like if you see Korean movies are getting awards
Yeah.
in England ceremonies, right?
They're
Which is like weird. Like, and they're not even in English; they're in full Korean, and it's just a translation. And so they got to look at the subtitles, but they still got an award. Like,
Mm.
yeah.
so it's not more about the language barrier, but it's more about the culture. So if you can really reflect, and if you could really go with the culture, then
Well, do you think you're more charming or better socially, better with words in Korea?
of course, Korean is my first language.
For me, it's
Well,
not.
yeah,
it's not.
that's what I mean.
For me, it's
Mm.
'cause-
Because the thing is, Korean jokes and American
Oh,
jokes
yeah.
are very different.
very
And
different.
I would say I am more, I'm more used to the American jokes and using them
I mean,
rather than
And-
Korean.
if you use daily American jokes to Korean with translated in Korean, then they're gonna go nuts mad because that's not a joke for them. Like
Yeah.
Oh,
like like
offensive.
like something like your mama, let's say. Like you walk out and say, "Hey, your mom," then that's like a fucking joke. You walk around, then you're okay, that's good. But if you say that to Korean, oh god, he's going nut
Yeah.
mad.
It's
Like it's different culture. It's different
Yeah, it's
culture.
different culture, I think, as
Yeah.
well.
And the thing I realized is because I watched the play, and I watched it's an English play, but I watched it in Korea, right?
Yeah.
And so I compared the two, the English one and the Korean one, and the jokes there are, even though it's the
Like-
same play, it's different. Like the points are
Oh.
different.
Yeah.
Like at this line in Korea they were laughing, but then in America, at the same line people weren't laughing. In fact, they were laughing on the other lines where Koreans weren't. So it's like just the points are very different of humor
Yep,
and
yep.
stuff. That's what
Mhm.
It's
I
mainly because of the culture, like
yeah,
how
and
we're grown up.
that's just what I want to be good at. Just communicating with others. Not being
I
able
think
to-
lastly, it also just has to do with how close you are to the person. Because, Johnny, when you communicate with me, I don't feel like you're holding back on much.
yeah.
Or if we're just having a good time, for example,
Mhm.
it's fun. It's not like super funny, but we crack
Yeah,
jokes every
yeah.
now and then. But
yeah.
it's like when you're with in a more formal situation, or when you're with just acquaintances, or when I'm with acquaintances, it feels of course it feels like there's more tension there, or for example, it's harder to say what you want to say.
Yeah.
Because you're scared you'll get backlash, so I think that's one of the other problems I see with this.
Yeah, I feel like you just gotta take the risk and try.
I mean, I read a book. It's called
That's easier said than done, John.
yeah, I know. That's
You too.
it's called Unfuck Yourself, and it talk about those initiatives, how you should really take those initiatives. And he talked about examples like, hey, let's say you say something that you want, and okay, you get the blames, okay, then how bad could it be? Are you going to die? No. But look, think about the peoples on like 18th century or 17th century. Like if they said a word wrong, they're gonna be they were gonna be on cross saying they're gonna die. Probably they're gonna be crucified, right? So
They insult the king,
they're gonna be crucified. So how bad could it be saying those words today, like nowadays, right? So we're in a very lucky position. We could do whatever we want and not really confront on big problems. And it's kind of true. If you compare us to people back in 17th or
Actually, that depends. If you compare us with people from the 18th century, yeah, we're living a much more
better world,
I guess
peace.
free of speech, freedom of speech.
Yep.
But like, if you just look at like, I don't know, like cancel culture or the sensitivity of society right now. I think that was one of our previous episodes, right?
Yeah.
Then we realized that right now, people's voices are being shut out actually, and it's
Yeah.
it's
I mean, yeah, it's really hard because like human rights generally been, a big issue since like 1970s, 60s, right? Or like before. So there is a certain line for human rights, but they don't know the certain line, so they're just going too much, right? Like if you want to keep all the rights, then you're keeping none of them. Actually,
it's like
that's how it works. Like I have right to speak, you have right to listen. Like then what?
Yeah. It's
like,
quite funny actually.
If I have right to speak, then whose right is better? Like if I have right to sleep, if you have right to like what? Take your action, and you slap the hell out of me and say, "Hey, that's my right," and I say, "Hey, this is my right." Like you know what I mean? Like this is contradicting, sort of.
Yeah.
Like,
It is.
So it's really, and it's even harder for us to value which one's better or not. So I think this just went too much. Just this thing of human rights. This went just too much.
Yeah, that's
surpassed a certain line. So now it's becoming a problem.
Part of it's entitlement. That's why. It's because everyone feels like they need to deserve something. Like if you're poor, then a lot of people nowadays would just blame it on society. Like
that's just
or something like that, and they feel like they have the right to work and to find a good job, but in reality it's like their resume is shit. Maybe they're not that good of a person either, and they just think they are, and they think they deserve more. It's like not really, man.
Yeah. It's like they as voices become louder, at the same time it's like people can't speak much more.
So as voices get louder, people get shut out more.
Yeah, it's quite
no,
funny
it's more like now they're not even saying stuff out loud, they're just screaming and they don't know what they're screaming for. Like it's like this situation now, like human rights, like okay, I don't have a right, I gotta make mine. Hey, you know what, like you talk about your rights, yeah, okay, it's because now it's just so sensitive, like sensitivity, how he talks about it's just too much. So like it's really even hard to make a joke.
Yeah, it really is.
Oh, something. Okay, a joke is a joke, right? Just take it as a joke, leave it as a joke. But they don't. Because
it's so different. It's so different for every person and how they receive the joke.
Like let's say we made a joke about animals, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine, right? We could make jokes about animals, and there like is a guy who's like protecting animals and he gets mad, then like who did the wrong, right? Like is it me just making jokes about animals, or like is it him who's getting pissed off for just a joke? Like it's really hard.
Yeah, it is.
It's very vague. The line is really vague. Like so yeah.
So many things would get solved if people stopped getting offended, like your example, man.
Yeah. I mean, I know like you should get offended on some cases, right? Like if they step over or if they cross the line, then okay, it's fine. But these days they're just getting offended for nothing.
But then that's the thing is, it's hard to cross the line what is offensive and not, because it's
Well,
also very
right.
subjective.
But
That's why
there's
it
some
gives more.
like if we're on a group meeting, okay, or
Yeah.
if we are on a party and we made a joke, everybody's laughing and one gets offended,
Yeah.
and it's not about him, okay, it's about some other subject. Then
Yeah.
is it my problem making everyone laugh and him getting offended, or is it his problem being offended at something that everybody laughed about? Like, so of course it's really hard to tell, but you should make your line based on kind of like where you at, right? Like
Right.
if you're at places that's kind of more serious, like funeral or somewhere, okay, your line should be really tight. But if you're
I
at a
see.
party and you get loose, it could be farther up,
Yeah, you should acknowledge that,
right? Like that you are at the situation, like you're
Yeah.
at school, you're hanging out, and we're talking jokes, and you suddenly get offended with something you really shouldn't. Then, right, you chose the wrong placement for your line, So,
Yeah.
I
Do you
think
think there are any other ways that someone can bypass getting offended right now?
Um, it's really hard actually.
yeah, right. It's really hard.
Well, I guess let's think more local situations. Like, let's say you get insulted by someone, or someone doesn't notice your feelings. Like, let's say just during friendship, for example. Then I think what I'd say to the other person, or what I'd give advice to the other person caring so much, is that nobody really needs to know about your feelings, and just because you project your feelings out there, it doesn't mean people need to do something about it. It's like you feel mad or sad and you tell that to the other person expecting something in return. They don't really have to do anything, right? So what's the point of channeling that anger? Just let it go, man.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
I think that would apply to broader society as well, because society is made up of individuals. So if each individual carried themselves differently, society would change as well. So if each individual fixed themselves in this way and didn't get, well, you can't really fix getting offended, like the feeling.
Yeah.
But if you just
Yep.
don't project it out and just release it somewhere else, then it's fine. Because I was listening to Jordan Peterson once, like one of his lectures, and then he said that in the pursuit of truth, you need to risk getting offended to get to the truth. Now, I don't agree with everything he says, but this one line I really agree with, because it's like, you want to get somewhere, if you want to find the truth, then people need to get offended. Like, if you think back then, even like during the scientific revolution, or when people discovered the earth wasn't flat, and all these other things, people's ideas were offended back then, but they needed to be offended to reach the truth.
Yeah.
I mean, I read chapter in a book about expectations and how expectations ruin your emotions. So if we confront situations that we're not expecting, we normally get scared or mad or sad.
Yeah.
So it's something like this, like, okay, you are expecting yourself to go to a very nice, good university, and you didn't, and you're sad. Okay, let's say you and your dad promised to play ball this night at this noon.
Yeah.
And then suddenly he needs to do something else, so he doesn't. So you were expecting some kind of situation and it did not, and so you get sad or mad, right? So it said, don't expect for the expected situation, but just expect for the situation to come. So it's more like, if you just take it in as how it is. Like, okay, he's not playing ball, so what am I gonna do? Like, I gotta do my thing, and I'm just happy because I could say stuff, I could hear stuff, and I could breathe and I could act, right? I could still act. That doesn't restrict. So it talks about how expectations are kind of inevitable.
Yeah.
But it does also kind of ruin your emotions. So you gotta kind of you gotta kind of control your expectations.
That's
Like, yeah.
Right. I guess part of it's just controlling your expectations, especially during social situations, right?
Yeah, like at any situations, but it's normally social situations because we're social creatures.
because
Yeah,
it's the other factors that changes the results too.
Yeah, so like,
Stuff.
and there's nothing bad about just accepting the situation as it is. You get more like what kind of your head type of view instead of your heart, right? Because once you expect something really big, your emotions start to kick in, and now you get, your decisions are now really all bad. Yeah.
If you think about it, this could there's two things I want to say. This one is this could relate to thinking pessimistic and optimistic with your expectations again, and both ways could lead to if too much could lead to a bad thing, especially pessimistic expectations. And that's one thing that I want to say. And if you could compare this to a bigger scale, which is change, and it's just adapting to change. It's basically it's also adapting to change, and
but it's very quick and
change.
Fast, right?
Yeah.
Fast change, fast adaptation.
It's there's this one book called the Who Moved My Cheese?
What?
Who Moved the Cheese?
Yeah.
Who Moved the Cheese? It's very famous
Yeah,
book.
right. And that book is like, I don't know, like 50 pages only, and
really?
it's about change. It's about how it tells a story where how the cheese moves, and then one person just stays where he is, and then one person looks for the cheese and adapts to the change quickly. And it's just saying that like, who are you right now? Are you trying to adapt to the change? And
yeah, so I had some thoughts
What's
about
the interruption for, Johnny?
it's Mario Labudat.
Mario. Okay, so
Mario, can he say hi?
No, he just
Are you
left.
about to
He
say
just-
okay. I mean, I had some thoughts about those changes. So one thought I had in mind was one of the keys for consistency is change, because the world is changing. If you do not change, you're basically changing. That's what I had in thought. So let's say world is moving in this rate, okay? Then you stay still. Then if you see in the view of the world, you are changing, right?
Oh yeah. Like,
But if you move
Right,
with
you're the
the world,
same
you
with-
are basically being
Right.
consistent. So
Right.
what I thought is, if you want to be consistent at something, you should be really open with those changes, because that's the key of consistency. That's what I had in mind, not in a book, but
the thing is, I don't think people really like changes, because they're not used to it, right?
yeah, that's our gene.
Yeah, that's
So-
part of our nature.
Because when we started out as humans, like our first start, like old times, like ancient days, we were in so much danger. There were T-Rex going around. There were volcanoes,
Yeah.
asteroids going on. So
humans that live during
you should be scared.
the dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, I mean, whatever.
He met with them.
Yeah, okay. There were no dinosaurs. Okay, so
Yeah.
you should be scared, right? Because you're in so much danger. So your body is built that way. you want to stay in the comforting way and you don't want to accept changes because it could be dangerous. But now there are no asteroids, there are no, creatures who's gonna kill you. So you should be well open to changes. But I know it's hard because it's set. It's like that's coded on your gene. Like, do not change. Enjoy the comfortness, but you should really change, right? You should be accepted to changes nowadays, because why not? Better if you change than not. But there are some problems, right? Like if you change, if you act those changes, sometimes you just can't tell if this is a good or a bad change, right? Then you're like, should I go on with this thing? Sometimes, yeah, you confront those problems. But I also read this line in a book. If you think life is unpredictable and you can't really tell what you're gonna do in future, then you're just going on a fine way, because everyone is. And that's how it is. You can't change. Life is always unpredictable, and life would always be miserable. You would never know how the life is going to be like. So if you're having worries about that, it's not a good thing, because you're going to be worrying for the rest of your life. So
Steve,
yeah,
going back to what you said at the start about controlling your emotions, I think that's part of it. It's like life's never gonna change, right? It's always gonna be unpredictable, and you're always gonna have these situations you're gonna need to deal with that you don't expect. But the number one thing is controlling your emotions, because if you can control that, your situation doesn't change, but the way you react to the situation changes. So I feel like that's the line you need to make. It's life's unpredictable, but you can make some predictability out of it if you control yourself, because you definitely can.
There's only one thing that you could predict, is your reaction or your action. You could predict that, right? Because you're the one who's doing it.
You can kind of get the sense of
but everything else you really can't predict, because they're most of the times they're wrong. And there are lines like this: your future can't be answered to your current situation, because your future is the future that you dreamed of. It's not the real future. You know what I mean? Like, so it's something like this: hey, I'm gonna study really hard because I want to make. Then you are acting on current situation with the future that you thought of, which is making a lot of money, and what you think of it, right? Which is must be good if you have a lot of money, but you don't know.
It's not guaranteed.
It's not guaranteed. So it's something like that. So future is always unpredictable. You can't predict some situation except your actions. So everything you could do is just act well and react well on all those different kind of situations, and that's just gonna make the whole situation better.
If so, I feel like some people could say, like, if you can't predict the future, why even bother to make a plan, or make a plan for yourself, if it's just going to be different? It might even hurt my emotions.
So it's not
like, why have expectations,
if you make plans or do something.
Let's let Johnny talk.
Okay.
No, I
mean, that is line.
Some people might not be willing to have expectations, and how could that lead to? I mean, in some way, it's thinking pessimistic, because some people believe that as you have low expectations, you'll hurt less, right? If the outcome is different. But at the same time, because I believe that whatever you believe comes true. Like, there's a higher possibility that if you think optimistically, things will happen. So the idea of pessimism, of having low expectations at the same time, really brings down the result. in my
I
opinion.
mean, there's something like this.
Why can't you have both? Why can't you
Yeah.
think
So look. So
no,
there is
no. Why can't you think optimistically
Yeah.
and still and still not be let down? Like, for example, you think that you have a very bright future, for example, or you're gonna attend a really good university, get a really good job, follow your dreams, and you get let down in some aspects of that, but you realize that and you move on. Why can't you have both?
I know we can,
Right.
but then for some people, it's just they're not that. Maybe they're not used to dealing with their emotions. Maybe perhaps.
I mean, there is a word called 진인상 대천명, which is doing everything that you could do, giving full effort and leaving it on God, the rest of it.
Oh,
So that's how it works. You give everything of yourself, you give full effort, and after that, you don't give those expectations. You don't expect anything to happen. Okay.
Oh, I see.
Give the least expectations after you give the full effort, because then you're not the cause. The cause could be God. Okay, you blame it on God. So just that's when you start having no expectations, low expectations, not no. But before you give your full effort, you should keep doing what you are doing. You should show those discipline, because that's when it starts. You didn't even start if you didn't give those efforts at the first place.
right.
So that's how it works if we're talking about expectations, right?
see.
Like when you didn't even start and you say, hey, I don't think this is gonna turn out well, so I might not do it. I don't think I'm gonna go to a good university. So no, it's more like, okay, I'm gonna do my best, and after that you don't expect anything.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Also way better than you expect.
It's like the Serenity Prayer. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Serenity Prayer.
Yeah,
It's
I like that player actually.
prayer.
Yeah.
Johnny, can you recite it for us?
I cannot. It's just accept those.
It's I think it says like, God, give me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. So it's sort of like, you try everything in your hand, and once you know that, you're not that worried about the expectations anymore, because you realize that you've done your part. Now it's just up to the universe, God, luck, or whatever you believe in, And if you believe in nothing, well, it's up to chance, I guess.
Yeah.
Right?
Like, but I think it is quite a good mindset of really not, not doing the work to gain something, as it can go back to entitlement. Like, if you expect something before you do the work, then that is the part where it crashes your emotions maybe later on. So yeah, I think Steve had a good point of just not expecting, just doing the work just for the sake of it, and then in the end just accept what happens without any
So I really like 진인사 대천명.
yeah, that's a good one. And what you call there was a point that I was going to make, but I forgot again. Anyways, that was I think that was one of the good ways to do it. Just there's a famous Nike saying, just do it. Don't think that much. It's not that deep, Just do the work first.
Not that deep.
No. So yeah.
You know what I realized? It's that all our conversations, like especially on these podcasts about these things about life, we don't ever think about it that deeply in real life.
Yeah.
Like for example, these notions or these ideas about the broader picture of life, we know them deep down, but it's because we know them deep down that we act a certain way. So I guess it's really not that deep, you just act a certain way and then life just goes on.
Yeah.
So Yeah, I just wanted to put that out there.
Oh.
It's
Yeah.
not like you contemplate for 5 minutes every time you make an action. You just do it,
Yeah,
because
just do it.
yeah.
And this is also from the book. Also from the book. I see this really amazing because I had experience. Most of people wait for the emotion and feeling just right so you could act.
Yeah,
So okay, now I want to study. Now
Yeah,
I want to
exactly.
do something. Now I want to do my work. But that feeling never really comes. Sometimes it does, sometimes. But
Yeah.
at most of the times it doesn't. So just think it on the opposite direction. Like if you act, your emotions change, and it really does.
Yeah,
When you
exactly.
when you don't like doing the works, if you don't want to study for the exams, just do it. Just start. And like 30 minutes pass by, you start liking how you are studying for the exam, and you're kind of proud of yourself.
Yeah,
So you
exactly.
keep on, and you keep on doing it. So it's just like how Johnny said, Nike's what theme? Just do it.
Yeah, just
Just
do it.
go it. Just do it. It really works.
That's our conclusion out of this entire talk.
Yeah.
We went from like society to expectations to
Yeah.
to doing work, and it all comes back to just, I don't know, I guess this was our conclusion. It's a bad way to just wrap up everything without listening to the context, but I guess it's just do it.
I mean, Nike slogan does it all.
Yeah, if you think about it, before just do it, I didn't really, get it, right? It's just do it. It's
do
quite simple. It's not that deep, maybe.
All right.
But then if you really think about it, it really does apply to many things.
Right, because if you think too much about one thing,
Yeah.
you just never do it. Like
Yeah.
thinking in general and voicing those feelings to other people, just having a nice civilized conversation, and getting to somewhere, that's not wrong, but if all you do is, if you think too much, man, and
Yeah.
you think about
too much. Once you start becoming
things
extreme
like
and looking for
blah, blah,
7 billion cases, and like, what if this? What
Yeah,
if
exactly.
no,
Right.
that's right.
because you know what really blew my mind, it's like, I think I told you guys this last time, but it's like each person has their individual lives, their individual experiences. They're living, breathing right now, and that's another person, there are like 8 billion people around the world, and each of them have their own individual experiences. And if you think about that,
Yeah.
what that means, like, wow, that's crazy, man. It's like, I thought my life was complex already. Imagine, like,
Exactly.
8 billion people's lives and the complexity of the world.
And
It's too much.
you're trying to satisfy all of them, It's
Yeah.
almost impossible. Like, how can you?
Not almost impossible. Impossible.
It's like, yeah, like,
Impossible.
and you think that you can make a joke, let's say, without offending one person.
Yeah.
It's again quite impossible. So I think, again, going back to the society thing, I think we just have to accept it as how they are.
How it is.
And
Yeah.
and just when you want to make a statement, why don't you just make it, and then
Yeah, just do it.
just do it. Yeah, just make a statement, because
Take
no
the
matter what,
initiative. Take the initiative.
yeah, no matter what, things are gonna hate you for it.
So, great conversation. We had a conclusion too. Just do right?
Yeah, we usually have conclusions at the end of the episodes, right?
Yeah, but this one
was
we had really simple and nice conclusion.
Concrete, simple,
Yeah,
and then look at everything else. Sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just do it.
I think
Right.
that's a great
Just do it.
episode.
Yeah, that was a great episode. So,
And
Bye.
yeah, we'll see you guys on the next
Episode
episode.
7, guys.
See you guys.
thank you. Bye.